I was in a pretty codependent relationship where I was like crazy in love for the whole
Mm,
time, but it was a very codependent relationship for most of my adult life. And now the relationship that I'm in that, you know, I left him for
mhm,
is much more of a relationship where I am a sovereign entity and
mhm,
she is also a sovereign entity. And that
mhm,
has been very different for me. And that has
mhm,
taken a period of adjustment. But I feel like I am more living that Rilke quote than I have ever in my life.
Learn the ways of the goddess and accomplish much more with so much less effort. Welcome to Your Goddess Awakened with Hallie Evelyn, a show dedicated to helping you embrace your divine feminine and nurture your inner goddess for a radiant life. We invite you to join us every week to receive goddess wisdom that will help you through your current obstacles and lifelong traumas. Awaken the goddess within you and transform your business and your life, only here on Your Goddess Awakened.
So so grateful to come together in this now moment. So grateful to know that everything is unfolding perfectly in Courtney's highest and best good. So grateful to know that everything, oh, that we are experiencing everything exactly as we are supposed to, that everything is unfolding perfectly. Oh, that Courtney is getting exactly the work that she needs to today to go to the next level of yes. I am so grateful for this time together. I am so grateful for the chance to speak the word. I am so grateful to get to know the truth about this being known as Courtney and releasing my word into the law, knowing that it is already done. And so it is. Amen.
amen.
So, hi.
Hi.
So, first of all, I just want to preface by saying Courtney and I have met before
Mhm.
because I got to be a guest on her beautiful and brilliant podcast.
Yes.
So,
I'm very excited for that to go live. It'll be, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, but I know everyone's going to love you and our conversation. It was so fun recording with you. And it's so nice to be on the receiving end this time and in your company. So thank you for having me.
yes,
Mhm.
excellent. Thank you. Yeah, it was a
Mhm.
really, really good conversation. And the
Mhm.
thing that the thing that we talked about that sparked this is that I
Mhm.
do trauma clearing. And
Mhm.
Courtney was like, "Hey, me," and I said, "All right, well, come on, come be a trauma clearing guest on the
Mhm.
show." So I do these episodes once a month,
Mhm.
and basically I will clear whatever anybody needs. So we
Mhm.
didn't talk about was what that is for you. So why don't
Mhm.
you share a little bit about what it is that you would like help with?
Yeah, I think as of recently, I have been putting a lot of focus on healing my inner child. I like have had a few things that have happened that have made me just do a lot of self reflection as to why I'm showing up the way I'm showing up and showing up in ways that could be hurtful. And it kind of took me back to my childhood and like unresolved things and nothing that was completely life shattering or like I would say like small t trauma, not big T trauma, but still nonetheless trauma that deeply deeply affected me. And I think that I wasn't even really aware of it until I started to kind of do a little self reflection and understanding, oh wow, actually there are still these ties to the past because this is some unresolved stuff that I haven't wanted to look at or make peace with. So I've been kind of focusing on that and really just loving my inner child in a way that never got love. And it's been helpful and healing. And I'm really looking forward to this work with you because I really felt such good energy from you and trust your gifts. And I'm always looking for answers within myself, but also very open to teachers that come into my life. I feel like we're all in each other's lives for a reason. So that's kind of where I'm at today.
Okay. So I want to invite you to do something a little bit maybe unexpected.
Yeah.
And that is, I feel like the work that you've done in the past has been a really good grounding for, wanting to have these shifts and to experiencing them.
Mhm.
And now I'd like you to kind of let everything go. Like,
Mhm.
don't get attached to, well, when I did this work, it looked like this, or when I
Yeah.
was with this teacher, it looked like this, or this is how my inner child needs to be. Because we may uncover some new stuff for you today.
Mhm.
And I'd like to invite you to go maybe deeper
Mhm.
with the work that you've already done. So just recognize that it's almost like we're archaeological digs.
Mhm.
You get down to this layer and it's like, oh, this is the Bronze Age layer. And then you get down underneath and it's like, oh, there's something below that. And that,
Mhm.
I feel, is we forget that there's layers under the layers under the layers. And so that's what we're really going to be focusing on
Mhm.
today, is like, can we get down? I always say, like, it's like we're peeling back the layers of the onion, and then my
Mhm.
job is to get to the core. So that's what I'm really focusing on today, is can we get you to the core? So tell me, you said, so not trauma with a capital T, which is interesting because
Yeah.
that's actually a phrase I use as well.
Oh,
Um,
really?
well,
Yeah,
great minds, works for me. So,
that's right. Mhm.
what would you say? Is there anything that happened in your childhood that you feel like that feels still painful, or
Mhm.
anything that you feel like that that thing created this behavior today? Is there anything where you've made those connections already?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I can be transparent and, you know, it does involve, like, I'll say my mother, for instance, but I'm not gonna share anything that wouldn't be something I would say in front of her. So, she had me at 18, was a single mom, and so at a very just being born to someone so young who's kind of still a child themselves has its own struggle, right? It's like I've always felt growing up that I was kind of more like a sister, sometimes more of an annoyance or an accident or a bother, like for a lot of my life. And also felt like when my mom got remarried and had kids, it was just very much like I didn't belong. And that definitely affects like my relationship with my family now. And it makes me like really emotional because
It's
I
okay.
feel like I take that into my relationships where like I push people away and I don't want to be that way,
Yeah.
and it's just, it feels like that, like I want, like to me, like I feel like I want like something from her or like an acknowledgement or, because there was so much that had happened in my life, but I don't feel like I'm ever going to get that. So I just need to like make peace with it, but I don't know how because I'll feel like, okay, I've forgiven, I've done the work and we're good. And then it just seems to resurface. So it's like getting to the root of it, like you were saying, is it obviously hasn't happened. I mean, and maybe this is something I'll always deal with, but it's,
Or maybe it's something you'll let go of in the
yeah,
next 30 minutes. That would
that
be
would
okay
be
with you, right?
amazing.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not, did I answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And so the way that my work is, and I don't understand this, but I just know how it is. Like, stuff jumps out at me because that's the stuff that
Mhm.
we really need to focus on. So here's what jumps out. So
Mhm.
first of all, you went from sister to annoyance to
Mhm.
accident.
Mhm.
Those are some very, very, very different energies. And yet you
Yeah.
like they all tumbled out at the same time. And
Mhm.
then you talked about not belonging to your
Mhm.
family. And now you're talking about pushing people away. So those are the three places that we're going to start with,
Mhm.
because so sister is usually good energy. I mean, my sister and I were oil and water for the first, I don't know, 40 years that she was on this earth. And now we're pretty good friends. And we do pretty well together. And my mother has always said, like, she's your only sister, and that really, my only known sister. I actually have a
Yeah.
half sister that I've never met, and that's a whole nother thing. But when we have relationships where they're a little rocky, but it's still family, it matters less that she's your mother or she's your sister. There's still like the super, super, super closeness. But there's a very big difference between that energy and the energy of I was an accident. Reverend Michael Beckwith at Agape, which is this big spiritual center that was my home for like 10 years. He says, we are all on purpose with a purpose. And so my question to you is, have you gotten to a place where you've really embodied that of feeling like, hey, I'm on purpose with a purpose? Or is there some part of you that still feels like I was an accident?
Yeah, thank you for, also clarifying some things. And I guess when I was referring to feeling more like a sister, I just never felt like she was that mothering figure that I felt like I really needed. And it was never there. It was always kind of like, it just felt like I wanted that mom, that like mothering, nurturing. It was just, everything was always so hard. And so that's kind of where I'm coming at it from, of just like the lack of that mothering, nurturing kind of energy that I so wanted and needed. And that's why I made that comment. I'm not sure if that clears anything up for you, but back to your question about purpose, I actually do truly feel very purposeful in my life. Ever since I was very young, I have had a very deep spiritual practice and connection with God. And I just feel very called to share the light in the world. And that's taken on different forms, from teaching yoga to coaching women to writing. And my work is very much what gives me purpose, because I feel that my work is making a difference in little and big ways, And so for me, if I were doing work that I didn't feel like was making a contribution, I would feel like I wasn't living with purpose. But for me, my work is my passion, my purpose, and a deep source of fulfillment in my life. And I've never.
And is it okay for you to have, sorry to interrupt, is it okay for you to have work be fulfilling and also have love that is fulfilling? Is it okay in your mind to have both running equally well at the same time?
That's a great question, because I think that's kind of where I don't know. It's almost like the work is so fulfilling. If that's good, I'm good. And I've also, because of my upbringing, and I was the oldest and taking care of many, many young children, and like, to the point where.
Wait, how many is many? Were you like running a school? I mean, how many?
Let me tell you. So I have 5 younger siblings, and my parents kept younger foster children. So there are sometimes between 8 and 10 kids that I was tending to at a young age myself. Yeah, it was crazy. And it was the amount of duties and work and just like physical labor that I had to do before even 6 a.m. some days was
nobody
very
said
taxing.
Thank you, have they?
Yeah,
nobody. No.
And it was just expected, and it was really hard. It was a lot to manage as a kid myself. And then, so like leaving home as soon as I could. I've been on my own since 17, and, always provided for myself. But I felt like I was taking care of kids my whole life up until 17. So I've never had a desire to have children.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just kind of feel like I have that desire. So maybe like in regards to like a partnership, I do want like a partner in life, and I do have a partner right now. We're kind of figuring some things out, but I do wonder sometimes if I'm like so focused on my career and I don't let people in, or it's almost like, is there room for both? To your point, I'm figuring out what that looks like. And I want to say intellectually, I believe, yes, there can be both. But at my core, am I operating in that way? I'm not sure.
Yeah. And does he say, you don't let me in?
I've had many, many partners in the past that have all kind of given me that feedback of like, you're pushing me away, or you've always pushed me away. And we were engaged. Um, we've decided to kind of take a pause, let it breathe, take some time. And we're actually in a really, really great place right now where there's great communication, there's great love, and I feel good about that. But I feel like my
Whose
heart is
decision?
open.
Yeah, whose decision was it to to break off the engagement?
It was, I would say it was very mutual. It was becoming toxic. Neither of us were happy. We were living together and it wasn't working. And I actually have moved out, and now it's like, so much better. We're both way happier. So that's kind of where we're at. Like, we're not like, it's not like it's over, we're never talking again. We're just kind of figuring it out.
So let's assume, though, I mean, look, I went to see the Titanic exhibit one year, and they showed the two staterooms side by side that had been recovered from the ship.
Mm.
And the two staterooms belonged to a couple, two first class staterooms. So it's like the most expensive thing you could have
Yeah.
possibly done in the day. And these two people who were married were traveling together and had taken separate side by side accommodations. You want to talk about, like, being together or being alone. I mean, it wasn't even like, okay, well, we'll just share because this is like, I don't know, the most expensive thing we'll ever
Yeah.
do. They're like, no, we'll just like, we'll still take two rooms. So they obviously cared very much about their privacy and about their separate experiences. And I read their bio information, and basically they were married their whole lives, but they did live alone yet together. And that's not a very modern way of doing things. But there are people who are, married, but have been living separately for years. My parents say that they're, I don't know, 55 years together is blessed because they've been living on separate continents for
Oh, wow.
approximately 45 of those years. So there's like all kinds of different
Yeah.
ways to do it. So I'm not saying that you and this guy won't be like perfectly happy in exactly this state, but it's interesting that you talk about pushing men away, and you talked about it in like pushing a partner away, and speaking about that in conjunction to the same stuff that you were talking about with your mom. So let me just ask,
Something just came through, but ask your question.
no, you first, you go.
Okay, for me, it was like, as you were talking, it was like coming through, like, because I was forced at such a young age to be so independent and to have so much responsibility, and she'll figure it out. And I didn't have really like that feeling of that mother looking out for me. So I had to look out for myself. And so now I think in my adult relationships, I'm really still embodying that. Like, I got it figured out. I don't need anyone. I'm independent kind of vibe.
Okay. So also, and that was my question. So you're absolutely right on the money here. So let me understand this. So if mom showed you love, well, let me ask a different question first. Did mom show you love regularly? Like, did you feel like, did she say I love you, or did she hug you or kiss you, or was she demonstrative of what I would call like an expected love relationship with her daughter?
Yeah, I would say verbally, she would easily say all of those things, but sometimes like the actions didn't feel that way, you know? But at the end of the day, I did know my needs would be met. I would have someone if I needed them, like, but it was also a lot of kind of figure it out, fend for yourself, tough love, you could say, kind of environment.
Okay, so if that's the way that you feel, like I have to be in a relationship where I have to stay and maintain my independence, is there a feeling that if you got married, for example, that you would be suffocated in some way?
Yes, I
Yeah.
feel that very much. Like, it's overwhelming. And that's why I've had partners in the past, one I dated for 5 years, that wanted to get married. And I was like, oh, like I couldn't even, I loved him very much, and he wasn't my person. There were other reasons why that wouldn't have worked, but it just like that has been a theme where if my like I think freedom is like my number one like core value. It's like I need that, I want that. And I know you can have both, a beautiful, thriving, abundant relationship and your freedom and independence. But I think that that is a place where I struggle of like not feeling like my independence is going to be taken from me, or like I'm suffocated or put in a box.
I love to share this quote with people all the time. It is by Rainier Maria Rilke, and it is, love consists in this: two solitudes that protect and touch and greet each other.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful.
And that's not how most relationships, not all, but most relationships show up. And, you know, I was in a pretty codependent relationship where I was like crazy in love for the whole time, but it was a very codependent relationship for most of my adult life. And now the relationship that I'm in, that, you know, that I left him for, is much more of a relationship where I am a sovereign entity and she is also a sovereign entity. And that has been very different for me. And that has taken a period of adjustment. But I feel like I am more living that Rilke quote than I have ever in my life because of being that sovereign entity. So it is possible to find that. And I feel like it also, I mean, I feel like if I weren't in, maybe if I weren't as old as I am, I wouldn't be living that, because it's another thing. You know, people pass through stages of our lives before you get to the stage where you go, oh, well, this is what I want. And this is all I'm never settling for anything again. And this is how it's going to be. And then you find somebody else who's like that and you're compatible. And then you agree to, like, you know, maybe it's not like this with like the clasped hands, but maybe it's like, you know, the hands are being held, or the hands are being, you know, the fingers are being touched or something, where you've got like, you don't necessarily aren't completely integrated. However, you're still, you know, you are still connected in those important ways. So it may be that you haven't gotten to that place in let's just say the maturity of your partners, even though you've obviously gotten to that place for yourself, but it is possible to have both. I feel like the question for you though is, are you being asked to do things that you don't want to do, period? Like, I do not want to get married. Or would you be fine with being married as long as it was to somebody to whom you could, for example, keep separate suites on the cruise ship? Not the Titanic. That's not that. Yeah, not that one. Not that cruise ship. So let's go back to your mother. Let me ask, how is the relationship with her now?
I would say a year or two ago, I've kind of just kept my distance from her, because kind of like we would do the small talk in the holidays and how are you, but never really like letting her in. Because through even my adult life, there have been things that have been really painful. And I'm like, we're just so different. And I feel like a lot of narcissism that it is just, I just have no tolerance for it. So I just would rather keep my distance. But up in like a few years ago, 2019, I would say early 2019, I was like, no, I want to like really nourish my family relationships. That's something that I haven't really done. And I think that's important. And again, they're in my life for a reason. So I started to really nourish that. But like very recently, actually, we had like a big falling out. And I feel like it was very much kind of my fault, where I have let little things kind of go that were really hurtful, like build up and build up and build up and build up. And I would just be like, I'll let it go, or I'll forgive and forget, or whatever. And it really was just like spiritual bypassing, because I wasn't dealing with it. And now it's like, it was just like I snapped, and it was just like, she was very mad and upset and just left. And we kind of like haven't really talked about it. And I talked to my therapist, and I want to be able to talk about it, but I'm still kind of processing and dealing with like a lot of things, so I don't come at it from an angry place, like an emotionally charged place, because then I don't think she'd really receive
No,
where I'm at.
yeah. So you said something really important that I want to make sure we make a distinction about.
Okay.
Forgive and forget is an expression that is like, the more I work with people, the more I feel like it does more damage than
I'm with
anything
you.
else. But
Yeah.
here's why. Forgive and forget don't actually belong together.
Hmm.
You can forgive somebody completely. In fact, you must forgive them and you must forgive yourself. And the reason is this old adage that I think sums it up perfectly. Um, Holding a grudge is like taking poison and expecting the
Yeah.
rat to die, right?
Hmm.
Your mom may be the rat in this case, but you're poisoning yourself by continuing to refuse to forgive her
100%.
or for you.
Hmm.
However, forgiving does not mean forgetting. When we forget, we would make the mistake again. We would need to learn the lesson again.
Yeah.
And you don't need that.
Yeah.
That you already learned the lesson and you will not forget. But
Hmm.
it's like seeing it as the way somebody described it. I just got finished working with a woman who was like abused badly by her spouse for 25 years, left the guy, and then when she came to me, she was like almost just catatonic with fear.
Hmm.
And we worked together for about a month, and at the end of the month she said to me, I feel like it's a movie. Like I can see
Hmm.
it, I know
Hmm.
everything that happened, but I don't have to live through it and
Hmm.
ever again. And so
Yeah.
she had a lot of what I would feel like are PTSD symptoms, and
Hmm.
she had recovered from all of those, but she could still see what had happened. It's just she could now allow her body to calm. She wasn't in fight or flight all the time. She could be, her central nervous system could calm. And I feel like that's what forgiving will do for you. Whereas not forgetting means you'll see it like a movie, for lack of a better analogy.
Yeah.
So we want to distance those two things and
Hmm.
differentiate between them, because it's very important that you forgive your mom. And in fact, I'm going to walk you through a little exercise right now where
Hmm.
you'll have the opportunity, if you're ready, and only if you're ready, to do that. Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. So close your eyes.
Okay.
This is the part where the podcast version of this will be so much more interesting than the YouTube version, because we're all going to have our eyes closed. It's going to be very boring for a little bit. So take some deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I can see that your chest is really rising and falling. So put your hands on your belly and focus on belly breathing. Ms. Yoga Instructor, I know you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So that you can feel your belly going in and out, and feel that you are expanding your belly on the intake of the breath, really filling your lungs fully, and then whooshing it out through your mouth. That's it. Good. Good. And just take a couple more of those deep belly breaths. I call them the breath of life because they expand all through your body, all that oxygen in your cells. And I just want to invite you right now to see your mother in your mind's eye. I'd like you to see her when you were a kid. How old were you when you were taking care of all the kids? When you had like 10 children in your care, how old were you?
I would say probably like 11.
Okay. So let's go to Courtney at 11 and see your mom. So she's not yet 40, right? Because 18 and 11.
Hmm.
So she's still really, really young, and that's younger than you are now, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So see her at that age, and let's just bring her up in your mind's eye. She'd like to give you a message from back when she was 29, from this vantage point. What is it that she wants to tell you? Just see her in your mind's eye and let her speak to you. And just repeat to me what she's saying.
She's saying she's doing the best that she can.
Yeah. And what's your mom's name?
Lorraine.
Lorraine, do you love Cortney? What's she telling you?
Yes.
Lorraine, do you have the time to show Cortney that you love her? What's she
Are you
saying?
referring to then or now, or does it matter?
No, I'm asking the 29-year-old Lorraine to talk to you. So just tell me what you see her in your mind's eye. Just tell me what she's telling you.
I guess I'm not getting like a clear message right now.
Okay. Well, I heard a really clear one that time. She said,
Okay.
yes, I don't have time to show her, but I can tell her.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Is that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, it does.
So, okay. So look at her, the Lorraine who is 29. How are her tools? How are her parenting tools? And how are her relationship tools with her partner? And how are her um, tools for loving herself? How good were those tools looking at her at 29?
Um, from my perspective, she has good tools. But it's almost like toxic positivity at times. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
like too much acting as if and not enough actual.
Yeah. And no
understand.
permission for anything other than like a fake smile on your face, or like no allowance of real feelings, or anything that wasn't just like happy go lucky on to the next. You know what I mean?
So
So
are those good tools after all?
yeah, not great coping mechanisms, probably.
Yeah.
And then
So
my stepdad, I felt like was very much not a help, like very negative and toxic and militant and rigid, I guess you could say.
And why does Lorraine stay with him then, if he's all those things? Why did she stay?
I mean, I think I truly like believe like she wanted to be like a mom and he wanted like a wife and kids, and they got together. And I think too, the like pressure of their like super religious background was like, you get married, that's what you do, and then you stay together. And it wasn't like I don't know that they could really see it any other way because of that religious pressure.
And so again, not very good tools. The instruction, but not the guidance, right?
Yeah.
So look at your mom at 29. Are you willing to forgive her for doing the best that she could? Even though that wasn't very good.
Yeah.
I like to say everyone's always doing their best. It's just sometimes that sucks.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So do you feel like you can forgive her fully?
I do. And I feel like I I would love to have that experience, as you were saying, that your other client of like, it's gonna come up and I can watch it
Don't
without
worry
attaching
about
to it.
don't worry about any of that right now. Stay in the moment, stay where we are.
Okay.
When we get through to the other side of the work, if it's complete, it simply will be that way. And if it
Mhm.
isn't complete, there will be another layer of the onion to go through. But we're doing
Mhm.
the work right now. So just let the work be, okay?
Mhm.
Don't worry about the outcome. So, are you willing to forgive her at that age for the way that she showed up and told you she loved you, but you didn't really necessarily feel that she loved you?
Yes.
Now, see Courtney at 11. Can you see her? Bring her up in
Mhm.
your mind's eye.
Mhm.
And tell me one thing that she's wearing.
I have this like velvet turtleneck silver shirt on that I loved.
Got it. Okay. Sure, it went beautifully with your blonde hair.
Mhm.
And ask little Courtney what she needs.
Support.
Support. Okay. What
Mhm.
else does she need? Yeah, I'm hearing help. So help,
Yeah.
support, same stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Help's a little more desperate, but yes.
Yeah.
And what else does she say she needs?
Belonging.
Belonging.
Mhm.
Little Courtney, what could you do to make you feel like you belonged? What would you love to do that would make you feel like you belonged? Tell me what
Mm,
she's telling you.
I'm not sure. I'm kind of
So,
drawing a blank.
okay, so you see her, yes?
Yes.
So let's ask her and tell me if she doesn't tell you anything, that's totally fine, but just let her share with you. I
Mhm.
can hear her fine right now, so
Yeah,
it's
I'm
good because
hearing
she's
something
here.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to feel a sense of being like a child, like to
Yeah.
feel that like childlike essence and freedom and play and not like a slave or a like a the nanny or the pressure of all having to do all the things and all the cleaning and all the homework and all the diapers. It was just like that made
Okay.
me feel
Okay.
like I didn't
Now,
belong, you know? So
okay.
yeah.
Now, little Courtney,
Mhm.
I can hear you perfectly. So, big Courtney, you're getting a little bit caught up in the resentment of the situation then. But what we're looking to talk to right now is the part of Courtney that is still completely alive inside of you
Mhm.
and needs you now. So I have a question for you, big Courtney. Little Courtney would love to have a new mom who loved her completely and showed that love and connected with her all the time and asked what she needed. And then when she heard what she needed, she could help her have that.
Mhm.
Would you be willing to be little Courtney's new mom?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel the same as having children, does it?
It does, yeah, it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah,
It feels good. It feels
good,
expansive and not like um, suffocated.
good. So, little Courtney said to me that she would like to be loved, to feel like she was being loved and paid attention to. Not paid attention to for the things that she did, but paid attention to for the things that she is. Do you
Mm.
feel the difference there?
Yeah.
So, little Courtney is going to tell you because you're going to talk to her. Do you meditate every day?
Not every day.
So, when you meditate, you're going to bring little Courtney into your lap to meditate with you.
Mhm.
do you do anything else to, like, I call it working out at the spiritual gym. Do you do anything else to work out at the spiritual gym other
Um,
than meditating?
well, my yoga practice and my journaling practice, and um, for me, spending time in nature and
Good. So when you
yeah.
spend time in nature, will you spend time bringing little Courtney in? You can
Hmm.
hold her hand and she can walk with you. She's telling me she would absolutely love that. So
Yeah.
she's really excited about that. So it feels like she doesn't want to be with you during your yoga practice.
Okay.
She doesn't want to be a part of your yoga practice, but she really wants to be a part of when you get out in nature, and she wants cuddle time when you're meditating, when you're reading, when you're journaling. Bring her deliberately in your mind's eye, bring her into your lap and snuggle her in your mind's eye. And she would love to come and sit with you. Like right now, your eyes are closed. She's going to come and sit in your lap right now. Can you feel that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And just feel like you're giving her a big soul hug. And as you reparent little Courtney, as big Courtney takes care of, pays attention to, deliberately calls little Courtney in. Hey, little Courtney, let's go for a walk in the woods today. Would you love that? Let me hold your hand while we walk into the woods. Oh, would you like ice cream now? Let's go do that. Whatever the thing is that you can hear her say, but ask her what she needs.
Hmm.
Because that thing that you said, I relate to it extremely, but that thing that you said about, I didn't get to be a child,
Hmm.
that's the piece that the more you do those types of things with her, like taking her out for an ice cream or like taking her for a walk in the woods, or if you know, go for a bike ride or you see a
Hmm.
set of swings and you go swing with her, that's the stuff that makes her feel like she's totally taken care of. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I love it. That's feels really good.
Okay, good. And if this is all you do, that is enough. Little Courtney will always want to play, and you
Hmm.
will always, as her new mom, be able to take care of her, make her feel loved and nurtured and needed and like she belongs. Okay,
Hmm.
good. All right, so she's sitting in your lap, and now I invite you to bring your mom during the day that you had that fight. Bring your mom up. Let's see Lorraine today in your mind's eye. Can you see her?
Hmm.
What color is her hair?
Blonde.
Okay. Now, Lorraine had some pretty bad tools and some pretty bad ways of being, but she does love you. She did love you as best as she could, and she does love you. Look at Lorraine and tell me if you feel you will not forget what happened, but are you willing to forgive her for what happened?
Yes.
So tell her out loud.
Mom, I forgive you.
And is she receiving that?
Hmm. Yes.
And Lorraine, are you willing to ask forgiveness of Courtney? Tell me what she says.
Yes.
So tell me what she says. She's going to ask you for that forgiveness now out loud, and just repeat it out loud.
She's just asking for forgiveness.
Her say, "He'll just doing my best."
I'm sorry, you cut out on me a little bit, Hallie. I didn't hear that last part.
I'm hearing her say, I am
Hmm.
still just doing my best.
I gotcha. Hmm.
So Cortney, are you willing to forgive her now,
Yes.
fully and completely?
Fully and completely.
You do not need to talk to her. You do not need to pick up the phone and call her after we are done together today. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. You can still continue to talk to her once every 6 months. It doesn't matter. What
Yeah.
matters is that you have done the inner work to let go of the resentment and to free her from being in lockstep with that resentment as well. Okay? Okay. Now, is there anything that you feel that you need from Lorraine?
No.
Okay. Let's let her go now. Thank you, Lorraine, for being here. Let's let her go back to her life. And now I'd like you to bring out Cortney and see her that same day you had that fight. Can you see her?
Yeah.
Now, let's ask that Cortney what she needs and tell me what she says.
I think it was.
No, ask her right now. Ask her
Okay.
right now. It doesn't matter what she needed that day or what you yelled at your mom or any of that. Right now, we're asking her, what do you need? But we're seeing her at a particular moment in time that's very poignant for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. Emotional support.
So the theme from Cortney at 11 to Cortney at your current age is identical support. Okay. So Cortney, you're big Cortney. She's Cortney in that moment. So what month was that? That the fight happened with your mom?
Last month, January.
Okay. So we're gonna call her Cortney Jan. Okay. So we're gonna differentiate between you and that Cortney.
Okay.
So Cortney Jan, you can now see that little Cortney is in big Cortney's lap. And little Cortney is going to be nurtured, supported, emotionally taken care of, and even coddled in a way that will change everything for Cortney going forward. Can you see that, Cortney Jan?
Yes.
And is that enough for you to feel like you are emotionally supported?
I want to say yes, but I don't really know. I mean,
okay, remember, just ask her. Don't try to figure this out. You don't have the answers. If you did, you wouldn't even need to be here. So you don't have the answers. Cortney Jan has the answers. Let's let her answer right now. Look at little Cortney with big Cortney. Is that going to give you the emotional support that you need?
No.
Okay. So why not? What are you hearing?
I feel like I'm getting like I need support around me, whether it's a friend or a mentor or a teacher or a family member.
And that word you didn't use was partner.
Yeah.
So you do get emotional support from your partner when you let him in.
Yeah.
But what was modeled for you is that there was no emotional support for your mother. She had all the trappings of, but no actual emotional support. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So the reason that it feels like you won't let the partner in is that he won't give you what you need, which is that emotional support. So why bother? And he's just going to turn out to be not what you wanted in the first place. Like your stepfather turned out to be not what your mom wanted. Not to mention your own father, obviously at 18, not being what your mom wanted, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you willing to detach the modeling that you received from the way that you are?
Yes.
Are you willing to take out the energetic hooks of the old way of what your mom's life was so that your life can be something bigger and better than what she had chosen for herself.
Yes.
Yes. So anywhere and everywhere that you have the belief or the story or the understanding that you need to get emotional support from somebody other than your partner, and that your partner will fail you in giving you emotional support, even if he tries, are you willing to unmake, undo, destroy, and uncreate and complete that?
Yes.
Across all time and space, across all lifetimes, across all dimensions, we hereby destroy, uncreate, complete, remove, revoke, rescind any vows, oaths, agreements, blood oaths, offerings, understandings, commitments, or contracts. Times a godzillion, good, bad, right, wrong, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Very nice. Very nice. Beautiful. Now let's look at Cortney Jan. Ask her if she is willing to be fully supported going forward.
Yes.
And I'm asking you, big Cortney, your support comes from spirit. It comes from God. It comes from your core. So you and Cortney Jan together, plus little Cortney, actually emotionally support each other to allow that independence. However, you will now, going forward, having disconnected this tie, you will be able to allow your future self to walk a different path. It's like today we were at a crossroads and you took a different path, perhaps the road less traveled. And going forward, you will be able to welcome that partner in as a sovereign entity, knowing that the person that loves you adds to you, doesn't take anything away from you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank Cortney Jan for being here. And take 3 deep breaths. Oh. And as you do, come on back and open your eyes.
Wow.
Apparently, I did something with my foot in the middle of that because the whole screen has moved.
Yeah, well,
How
I'm
are
in a
you?
swivel chair, so I've probably been moving myself, but wow, I feel an incredible lightness and just overwhelming feelings. Like I'm not someone that is moved to tears very often, and it was just like something broke loose in me.
Perfect. That's exactly
And
right.
it
Ooh, I
felt
just got the
cleared.
whole body chills. Good. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
and it feels cleared. Like I didn't know what to expect, but I try to come into everything without expectations, but this exceeded all all
Thank you.
yeah, expectations that I didn't even have, but thank you.
Beautiful. So, I don't necessarily understand the work, but I know from having worked
Yeah.
with enough people that going forward, you will begin to feel different. You will show up differently. You will find, for example, that you are going to be able to allow your partner in.
Yeah.
And you will continue to build on this if you continue to develop this work. There's just, but we unlocked the lock
Yeah.
today. We flung the door open today.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
felt really powerful when you made the analogy of energetic hooks. It was like Oh, I felt that, like, oh my God, it was like these hooks, and then it felt like releasing that was so freeing, and it was something about I've never heard it like that, and it just that was really a moment of transformation for me.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yay. Well, I'm so glad that you were here today. And
Me
I'm
too.
so grateful that you gave fully to this experience because it was so powerful because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so powerful. Thank you for sharing your time and your
Thank you.
gifts with me, Hallie. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You have just listened to another enlightening and transforming episode of Your Goddess Awakened with Hallie Evelyn. We hope you enjoyed your time with us and join us again next time so you can continue your journey towards a full transformation. For additional resources and to learn more about working with Hallie Evelyn, visit HallieEvelyn.com. Receive more, do less, and love your life. Only here on Your Goddess Awakened.